Radio Sussex.
Now, we're doing something different at this time every day from now on. We are introducing a guest of the day. They will give us their take on the big stories of the morning, but also reveal a little bit more about themselves as well. Our very first guest joins me now in the studio, West End theatre actor and now celebrant, Mark Inscoe. How are you?
Good morning, I'm fine.
I should probably declare an interest and say we do know each other because we did Panto together, darling.
Not that you'd recognise us.
No.
Well, definitely not me anyway.
No, not you, because you played Dame
I did,
in
for the first time.
Aladdin at the Brighton Centre. Oh, we had fun. I miss it.
I know, absolutely. It was such a joyful time.
Yeah.
Very intense, but extraordinary.
Those three shows days were a lot, but we got through.
Wow, but to see the Brighton Centre full was quite extraordinary.
It was incredible.
To hear that response.
Now, obviously, I mean, it would probably be easier to go through the shows you haven't worked on in the West End rather than go through the ones you have. Just take us through some of the highlights of your musical theatre career.
Me. Well, I have to say one of the highlights, really, I mean, was my last big job, which was just before lockdown. I was 6 months in Paris playing Ziegfeld in Funny Girl with the amazing Christina Bianco. Wonderful. Which was to live in Paris for 6 months and just walk the streets every day and just get to know it. It really was. But West End wise, I suppose, sort of highlights, I did an amazing American show called Grand Hotel that Tommy Tune directed and choreographed back in the early 90s. And I was alternating as the lead character in that, the Baron, which was amazing. I was in the original cast of Sunset Boulevard. I played Lumiere and Beauty and the Beast for a year on tour.
I mean, you've done it all.
Well, it's been extraordinary.
But now you're kind of going in a different direction, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I think lockdown made a lot of people rethink their lives.
Didn't it just?
And theatre, of course, was not for six. I mean, you know, every performing space closed around the world, and it was quite surreal. But being of a certain age, I was really starting to think it would be nice to sort of have another career, to see me through the next 10 years, however long working life I've got left. And I've been struggling, and it was only when I was actually singing at a friend's dad's funeral, and a mutual friend of ours was the Celebrant, and she's a big West End name. I won't mention her name, but she's having a very
name drop.
Well, I mean,
Clang.
A lot of people in the general public may not know her name, but Alison Jaya.
Okay.
And she won an Olivier for Jerry Springer at the Opera at the National. But she said, you should do this, and I was watching her in action and thinking, yes, it's something I could do. It's sort of performance related. And last year I think I had a bit of a crisis year, knocked back from COVID, and I had quite a successful time during COVID, funnily enough, because I'm also a voiceover artist, and I was able to record at home and getting lots of work, so I was very lucky. And then last year, everything dried up. And I just really started to rethink, but then had a eureka moment and decided to retrain. So I spent 6 months retraining, doing 2 separate level 3 diplomas, one in couples and naming celebrancy and the other in funeral celebrancy. And so I've just launched my new business and did my 4th funeral on Friday, which is quite extraordinary and such a privilege. Got my first wedding booking, which is going to be at Farnham Castle in August. Very glamorous affair.
Yeah, at a castle as well. Lovely.
Yeah, it's going to be extraordinary. And I'm doing a renewal of vows in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks.
Wonderful.
So yes, it's a big promotional exercise at the moment, trying to market myself.
Good on you though, because it's brave to take a different route in life,
and expensive.
There's that as well. Yeah. But I think we've probably all been there at some point in our lives where you have what you refer to as a bit of a crisis, and you think, "Oh, what am I doing?" Yeah. But actually, to kind of go, do you know what? Get yourself up, brush yourself down, and think, right, I'm going to try my hand at something new.
The prospects are exciting, I mean, as much as it is a struggle at the moment getting myself out there and trying to get my name familiar in that business, I mean, it's still, as I say, performance related in that I'm delivering in front of effectively an audience, but also writing. So I'm, one of my main jobs as a civil celebrant is literally to write a bespoke ceremony from scratch. So
and that's what people want, isn't it? Because it makes it personal.
It's so personal.
Well, look, best of luck with it all.
Thank you.
Our guest of the day today is Mark Inscoe. Mark, when's spring coming?
Well, this is spring, I'm afraid.
I want to feel the sunshine on my face.
Oh, gosh.
I'm ready for summer.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I mean, I've got family in Mallorca. They live out there, and the weather's been appalling out there.
Oh, really? Oh, that makes
ideal.
me feel slightly better. There's nothing worse, is there? if you go on holiday and then you find out they're having a heat wave back here.
Yeah.
So irritating.
Oh, it happens all the time.
If you're away abroad, you want it to be horrible back here. That's the truth of it.
Yeah.
You love making the most of the good weather, though. You're often out on your paddle board, aren't you?
I love it. I've been doing that about 6 or 7 years now, and it's just wonderful to connect with the ocean. I mean, I moved down to Brighton 20 years ago from London, and I'm a real water baby. And whether I'm swimming in the sea, I have to say, I'm not one of these cold water swimmers. I do have a full wetsuit at the moment, so if I go out on the paddleboard, I do have a full wetsuit on because, I look like one of those seals. It's just such a pleasure to just be. It's a very meditatory kind of state you can get into doing that. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Do you always take your paddleboard out to sea, or do you ever do rivers as well?
I do the river as well. So the River Ada, depending on the tides, you have to really sort of watch the tides because it can really battle. You're really battling against it if you haven't timed it to the right tides. Yeah.
Nice way to while away a day. Thank you so much for coming in to join us, Mark. Just in case people weren't listening earlier, just remind us what it is you're up to at the moment.
So I've just started a new career as an independent civil celebrant. So I'm basically writing and presenting, delivering, if you like, ceremonies for life events. So weddings, civil partnerships, funerals, baby namings. They're mainly non-religious services, but delivering for life events.
Yeah, and making them personal. If people want to find out more, how can they do that?
My website is www.civilcelebrantsussex.com.
Very good.
Civilcelebrantsussex.com.
Says what it does on the tin. Brilliant.
Absolutely.
Listen, thank you so much. You take care of yourself, and thank you for taking us through the day's news. It's 10 to 9.